Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works on the Cosmere. And today, we're Cosmere Ghosts, aka Cognitive Shadows. I'm Eric, and this blanket's really hot, so I'm taking this off. Whoa, that was hair right there. Hi. Also joining me is Ian.
Hello, and that blanket was also very hot.
Being a ghost hard, okay?
Yes.
Well, next, using a certified polar vortex blanket is Evgeni.
Ugh. Oh god, no. Oh, it's hot and down there.
Yeah. Sad thing is you're frozen when you're taking that off, but that's okay. That's fine. And
that's really unfortunate. I'm Argent.
And lastly, we have jofwu. Or wait, that's not how this intro goes. Joshua. I screwed it up myself this time.
That's cool. I'm jofwu, and I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those meddling kids.
Well, there was no lag in that intro at all. That's fine. That's fine. All right, guys, we're talking about cognitive shadows. One of the weird things in the Cosmere, I think. And they're legit ghosts. Ghosts. Woo!
Kind of.
They're as
Maybe.
Legit as
They're
the
ghosts.
Cosmere can get for ghosts.
I mean, they might be copies of ghosts.
Oh,
I
God.
mean,
There's not really like a hard rule on what a ghost is, though.
yes,
you know?
in the real world, even though ghosts don't exist, I'm sorry to burst anyone's bubbles. There is
Someone's
some debate
very
on
offended.
whether ghosts are like actually like the spirit of a person or just like emotional imprint on a place that's basically just a copy of them. So
Or
it
just a
works.
door that's squeaky at night. Ooh,
Yes.
spooky. What is a ghost? Welcome
Right.
to Paranormal Cast, where we talk about what is a ghost. Here we are ghost hunting experts.
Mm.
But no, we're gonna ghost hunt in the Cosmere. With silver, I guess. So what is a cognitive shadow?
we have a word of Brandon
Okay.
in our doc
Yeah.
somewhere. The animalod.
Oh,
The
okay.
animalod.
Okay, yeah.
I go with Danny Mallard.
Okay.
Welcome to
So-
Shardcast criticizes your Reddit usernames as per usual.
Yes. So Danamalad asks, I just read Shadows for Silence in the Forest of Hell and loved it. How did the first shade come to be? Are there shades on other worlds? Do shades have bones? Which that's an interesting question.
It's a very specific, yeah.
Yeah. And Brandon answered with, shades are what we call cognitive shadows in the Cosmere. They're basically spren or sions created from human souls, where investiture or magical power keeps a consciousness alive after it has lost its physical connection. Yes, shades all once had bodies. Think of them like petrified souls, where instead of stone replacing the tissue of a corpse, magical power replaces parts of a soul that connect the soul to the three realms.
Right.
And like that petrification metaphor is one he uses a lot to describe cognitive shadows.
Yeah. The other way he's described that is magic replacing what used to be the soul. And now you just have this soul-shaped chunk of investiture.
Which is exactly the same. as
Well, I
the
mean,
petrification angle.
I'm saying he didn't always use petrification as an analogy.
Welcome to PotatoCast. What is a ghost?
What is petrification?
What
What is petrification?
is a fossil?
Which version of petrification are like? Because like Medusa doesn't do that.
Medusa isn't real.
No.
It's talking about
The real kind.
petrified wood,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Cool. And Shadows for Silence was really the first main place that we saw cognitive shadows with the shades.
Yes. Yeah.
That we knew about.
Yeah, at the time, yeah.
By that point, we knew Kelsier was sticking around somehow, but
Yeah,
we
because
didn't know what that was.
he grabbed
What
preservation's
it meant.
power. We knew that.
Yeah. Mhm.
That we knew that in 2008.
Did we know that at the time?
Yes.
Yeah, we knew that in
Yes.
2008. Hero of Ages.
When did the whole
Q&A.
concept of the cognitive realm come?
That was Way of Kings where we started to learn about that.
Mhm. But we learned about the three
Emperor's-
aspects in Mistborn.
I was gonna say Emperor's Soul,
Yeah, Emperor's Soul was the first really realmatic description of the three realms.
because Shay was like, "Let me tell you about all of this stuff." Go away.
Yeah, but like, Way of Kings was before Emperor's Soul, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like that's the first experience with the cognitive realm.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, right. Yes. But Brandon also name dropped the three realms in that Hero of Ages Q&A after Hero of Ages came out. This is like, oh yes, the shards interacting with the three realms, and then Peter. It's very amusing if you go back to read it because Peter was not Brandon's assistant, and Peter's like, oh my god, is something from Dragonsteel's connected with this? What? It's great. That is quality entertainment right there.
Peter losing it over early Brandon comments is fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
And now
that's
he
in
has
the first
joined
Hoid thread too. He has a reaction in the first Hoid thread.
Yep.
So we got shades. What else do we got?
The heralds
Yeah.
are actually technically a variety of cognitive shadows.
They're a very particularly strange variety as well.
And that's a relatively new information.
Yep.
Yeah. Also,
Um,
the returned.
Ooh, yeah, the returned.
We learned about the returned and the heralds being cognitive shadows at about the same time, if not the exact same word, Brandon.
And the returned make a lot of sense because, I mean, we knew it's the divine breath. They're coming back. It's Investiture that's putting you back, right? And preventing you from move on.
It could have just been them being revived, because that is possible in the Cosmere.
So like
The fact that, no, they are cognitive shadows.
it
Yeah.
could have been a case of just miraculous healing, like
Yeah.
with Cox.
Sure, okay. But I don't know, always the endowment thing where Lightsong died, and I don't know, this feels like a very efficient way for shards to bring someone back if they need. If they're a little too far from that miraculous healing moment, then it's like, I'll just dump some Investiture and all right, great, cool.
Oh, absolutely. It's just
As long as the cognitive shadow is still like, as long as the soul hasn't passed.
Yeah, and
yes.
we did. Oh, and so another example is Kelsier himself in Mistborn Secret History, and we kind of saw that, hey, you're kind of in the cognitive realm a bit, and then you escape to the beyond. But Kelsier, with that investiture, was prevented from leaving.
Yeah.
So, but
And
yeah,
there's
once you go to the
also-
beyond, then you're out.
Yeah.
The
And
fused.
there's also the fused.
The
Yeah.
fused. Yeah, the
Is that it?
fused and the heralds very different in mechanics, and the shades very different in mechanics.
Yeah. So cognitive shadow is kind of an umbrella term.
Yes,
For-
absolutely.
Like there are like fundamental mechanics on how these things are all the same, but the applications are different.
Yeah, because Kelsier is probably the best pure cognitive shadow thing because he was walking in the cognitive realm. It's when you need to get in the cognitive realm back to the physical in some way that then we get some weirdness, I think.
Sounds right to me.
Because the weirdness between the fused and heralds, fused need to take over bodies. Right?
Yeah.
Heralds, we recently found out that heralds have their bodies remade for them, which is very special.
Which is crazy.
Who knows what Kelsier did?
Yeah.
Spikes,
Wait, hemalurgy, yeah.
hemalurgy of some variety.
It seems very, very likely that he managed to attach, I was going to say his soul, but no, himself, to a body somehow.
And the shades, the shades, even though they're like a classic example of the cognitive shadow, is almost the weirdest, because a shade needs to kill another person and then they just turn into a shade.
And the shades don't have much of a body.
No.
Yeah.
They don't have a body at all.
Yeah.
Really.
Yes.
They have some kind of physical.
But they do have
presence.
some kind of physical presence, and they are definitely, at least partially, in the physical realm. They can
Yes,
interact with
yeah.
the physical realm, and the physical realm can interact with them in limited ways.
Yeah.
They are also somehow bound by rules.
Yeah, they have the simple
Are they
rules, of
bound
course.
by rules, or are they? Is it just kind of like their natural? Like this is how they, like their instinct. You know what I'm trying to say?
I do, yeah.
I think there's a difference
So
there.
one option is there are like top-down rules, and then they need to follow them. The other one is, well, this is the shade's behavior, and humans make up, like, their interpretation of the shade's behavior manifests as rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The shades definitely have the least sapience, it feels like, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
They're very
actually
feral.
asked Brandon
Oh,
this
yeah?
question.
Great.
This is from my copy of Shadows for Silence in the Forest of Hell. It's like,
Relevant.
to what extent do the Shades of Threnody remember their lives? Silence's grandmother appears to recognize her, but on the whole, Shades don't really act like people. Kelsier, however, the other main example of a cognitive shadow, this is an older question, seems little altered from his living state. Brandon, Shades of Threnody are not as self-aware as other shadows. So
that's really like one of the defining features. And the weirdness to me also is that shades killing other shades makes more shades. It's like, how does the investiture...
Shades killing other people.
Oh, yeah.
makes-
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. Shades killing... Shades killing other shades creates baby shades. No, the shades killing people. Sorry.
Weird reproductive mechanics. Yeah, no, there's so much weird in that system, right? Ambitions splintering
Yep.
may have something to do with why they're weird.
Yep.
Naz mentions briefly specific rites that need
Yes.
to be administered in order for a soul to not turn into shade, or maybe
No, it's like there are specific rights to become a cognitive shadow.
right. But my understanding was that he says that with
Yeah.
the asterisk that I don't know why this is now an asterisk.
Asterisk.
Well, it's just one.
Yeah.
With the asterisk that cognitive shadow, but not a shade. Like, how do we? This is how we preserve a soul without it turning into a spoopy ghost.
Ooh.
I know there was a theory that becoming a shade was kind of the result of spiritual infection, almost. So
Ooh.
it would make sense that a shade could make more shades by like infecting a living person
That's an interesting
through their
idea.
death.
I was literally just thinking, okay, you need Investiture to hold the spirit from going into the beyond, right? For
Yep.
Yes.
cognitive
Mhm.
shadow. And I was just like, how do the shades just like, how does killing another person make another shade? That doesn't make any sense. But like, just with the amount of Investiture, like, how are you getting the Investiture to put in there? But clearly, I think you would need less Investiture because they're significantly less self-aware, right?
It reads to me like not all of them is like part of them is still going to the beyond. It's almost like they're being like part of their
Ripped.
soul is ripped off and is lost, but part of it is able to stay. You know what I mean? Like because with Kelsier, you have basically all of him is preserved. With
Yeah,
the
right,
shades,
right,
it feels like they're losing a big chunk of themselves.
Of their humanity.
Yeah.
So an old
Yeah.
theory of mine was that the reason they aren't as aware is because they're in the physical realm without a body.
Which could very much be a thing, yeah.
Also valid.
A lot like Sprin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
It reminds me of a little earlier when we're talking about the rules and how they can be top down. That conversation made me think of oaths on the Roshar and the binding power of words.
Yeah.
There's also shards can be bound by agreements, and there's like having a duel of champions is a rule that the shards have to follow if they enter into it. So investiture being bound by rules does have a precedence
Yeah.
in the Cosmere. This could just be a much smaller version.
Yeah. There's a lot of factors going on because we can't really extrapolate much from shades because it's so specific, right?
Yeah.
Because they're surely governed by rules of how generic cognitive shadows work, right?
Yeah.
That would be a thing. But at the same time, they're significantly less self-aware, and they have a process for making more of them, which the other cognitive shadows that we see that are self-aware, there's direct shardic intervention, right? Preservation, Kelsier, Herald's honor, the fused directly were infused with odious investiture, right? So
Yep.
there's not really a process for a fused to make another fused because you need odium to do that, right?
Mm-hmm. And there's also the deepest ones, which we
yes.
know practically nothing about.
Yes.
And these could be shades that are self-aware, that are more
Yes.
like other cognitive shadows.
Yes.
And the rights that Naz was talking about might be to create a deepest one rather than a regular shade.
This is getting me very excited for more Threnody. Like, Threnity's cool.
Viewers, if you are not excited for more Threnody, you are wrong.
I mean, I just love the part of Shadows for Silence where they're like, there were no predators on the continent. The shades had killed them all. Like,
Great.
oh, okay, that's the kind of story we're at right now. It's like, so atmospheric and cool. What's the homeland gonna be like?
Yes. And another interesting shades word of Brandon.
Yep.
Andrew Sterling McDonald asked, are there any animal shades?
Ooh.
Which Brandon answered yes.
Ooh.
So you don't have to be a sentient, sapient being to become a cognitive shadow.
That makes sense.
Huh. Does it?
I mean, if you have some kind of cognitive presence while you're alive, then you can make a investiture photocopy of it and die, and then you still have it.
What's the current verdict on hemologically stealing things from animals and plants?
Oh no.
It's possible.
I know Brandon has flip-flopped on that a little bit.
Animals, yes, definitely.
Plants, no, I think.
I remember plants being pretty hard to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe if they are really sappy plants, but sappy as in having sap, not sappy as in cheesy romantic.
Yeah.
But I don't know if sap would function like blood in this circumstance.
Yeah, that's weird.
Wow, an animal shade. Dude, I just want like a jaguar or something, but that be a shade and that be a thing in a later Threnody book. Doesn't that sound awesome?
I don't think the Force of Hell are the right biome for jaguars.
Or a bobcat, okay? Fine. Bobcats live in mountains, mountain lions, whatever, forests. But just a big cat, but it's a shade, and it will kill you and make you into a shade. Like, that sounds awesome. But That is weird. Like, what's the limit of that? I mean, it does make sense. People have cognitive aspects they're living, so they would be able to, invested. I was gonna say infused, but it's like, wait, that's not the word that we use.
Nope. Unless you're talking about gems or radiance.
Unless you're talking about gems, that's right. But very, very cool word of Brandon, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the heralds. So let's dig a little deeper into that.
Questioner asks, hypothetically speaking, if some of the main Radiants were to die at the end of Book 5, go to Braze, and then spend the time in between 5 and 6 there, would they age? Brandon says, there are lots of problems with that question. If a Radiant dies, they don't go to Braze. A Herald would, but a Herald is a cognitive shadow, so there's inherent problems there. Well, when you're a cognitive shadow, aging is different there. Basically you're a ghost. If you've been stapled to a body, it happens weirdly. So there's all kinds of flaws in that question.
Yeah, that's great to parse out. I love the Brandon. There's a lot of problems with what you're saying there.
Let me enumerate all of them clearly.
You thought no questions were wrong. Wrong.
No, this one is wrong 3 times.
Yeah.
So heralds are cognitive shadows.
Heralds are cognitive shadows.
They age weirdly.
Do you know what strikes me as weird in that question?
What's weird?
That they go to Braze. It almost reads to me like Brandon is implying that they are connected there in the same way that Kelsier is connected to Scadrial.
I think that's more just a function of the Oath Pact that
Yeah.
they're forced to go there.
That's because the whole point is that the heralds voluntarily we are going to seal the fused.
Well,
Right.
yeah, sure. But like the mechanics of that agreement could be a connection to Braze.
Yeah, but
Just
I
going
think
off the way Brandon is talking about it here.
yeah, but I don't think because there are 3 habitable planets in such close proximity that I don't think it's as difficult to get from Roshar to Braze as it is like Roshar to Scadrial.
I could definitely buy that.
There, because I feel like elsewhere it's, and actually the next question. So questioner asks, have we seen cameos of heralds on other shard worlds? Brandon, the heralds are tied to the system by the magic that permeates them.
There you go.
They could not leave. And then he goes on more about them being cognitive shadows and petrification and all of that.
Yep.
Very
Kelsier-
ambiguous term in the Cosmere.
In Secret History, Kelsier definitely leaves like the planet of Scadrial.
Yes.
He
it's
gets
not
to
entirely
the
clear how far he
edge.
gets. I kind of read it as like he gets to the edge of like the system, maybe.
Maybe.
He
I know
definitely
Brendan
leaves
has
the
commented
planet.
on this.
He
'Cause
100% leaves the
Because
planet.
it's kind of describing what it's like
right.
when he's like out on the ocean, and then it transitions to like this desolate, like it's to me that
No,
read
you're
that
right,
as
you're
now
right,
you're in
you're right.
space.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that they could get around and from one planet to the next.
Yeah, but
it
also,
wouldn't surprise me if they were like centered on Braze, like that's kind of like where they're tied back to, and then
yeah, the pulled there.
Mhm.
But yeah, with Shadesmar in interstellar space, you're just it's compressing space that doesn't have any thought. So wait, if you're walking off Roshar in the cognitive realm, right? I don't think it would take you that long to walk to Braze or Ashen compared with going to Cell, right? Like that.
Yeah,
it would just
absolutely.
be a lot easier to get there.
Well, yeah, I mean, compared to something in a whole different system, yeah.
And we didn't really see Kelsier walk all the way, try and press further, going further out, right? But presumably he would be yanked back eventually.
He was feeling the tug.
Yeah, he's totally feeling the tug. But so I mean, heralds can't leave the system. I think it's interesting. This could suggest that fused can't leave the system as well.
Oh, absolutely.
I would think
I would
that's
say so.
very sensible because, as this word of Brandon says, you're usually invested with something that's tied, and you're basically like pure investiture. Then you're tied to the thing you're connected to. Most of the things that you're gonna see with that traveling is going to be very difficult unless you know how to do it. You've seen people do it. Well, and that's referring to Vasher.
Yeah. And having a body
Absolutely
definitely helps. So, like, once a fused is actually fused to a body, they would probably have an easier time of getting out of system. Like, it's not a hard fast no, heralds and fused cannot leave the system. It's just very difficult for them.
Well, that's actually a very interesting thing with heralds then, with their body situation, their body image situation. Am I right? Because, like, when they die, when they go to Braze, do they have bodies there?
I don't think so. Because it's not really it's habitable for things like spread and cognitive shadows that don't have bodies. But if you have a body, you're going to have a bad time on Braze.
Well, Cell's cognitive roll. But that's very interesting because once the heralds kill all of the fuse, then they go back to Braze, and they still, except for the ones who died, right? They still have bodies, so that must be really fun to go back to Braze and walk there.
Well, unless the way they go back is through suicide.
Well, it might be the way they transition back to the cognitive realm to get there.
Oh, sure.
It's just reversing the process by which they get the bodies.
Oh, yeah. Okay. True. Yeah. All right. Hey, remember when I talked about shades attacking other shades? In some, if you think back, that's basically Braze. Ghosts attacking other ghosts. None of them have bodies, potentially. The Fuse definitely would not have bodies. The Herald's body situation is weird, but they probably don't either, right?
Probably not.
Technically speaking, would a fused without a body still be called a fuse?
Yeah, I am a little uncomfortable with us naming it, using the word fused for that.
I don't like that term at all.
I know there were people when Oathbringer came out who were like, I don't like the term fused. For sure.
It doesn't feel like a high fantasy term.
Yeah. Not like Herald, Knight Radiant, Voidbringer, right?
Right.
It doesn't really bother me.
No.
I don't know. It's a human word for them.
And also, like, multiple fused?
No, they just say the fused. Also, it's not a human
Yeah.
word. Fendley totally refers to them as fused.
That's true.
They call them. They call themselves.
They call
the
themselves
fused.
that.
Yeah, it's not a human word.
Fused are like moose. One moose, two moose.
Ah, yes.
One fused, two fused.
Red fused, blue fused.
Two fused,
Exactly.
two furious. Am I right?
I like Josh's reference.
I mean, when you're fused, you're furious. Come on, I was too busy making my joke that I have literally no idea what you said. Because I'm good at paying attention on this show.
Bad.
Also, they're hateful, not furious.
Look, close enough. Okay, it's close enough.
Passionate.
Look, there will be a Fast and Furious movie with hate in there somewhere. They're gonna run out of
Probably.
words. The fury of the hated of the furious. I've never seen one of those movies.
Neither have I.
Never?
No.
I think
the
I saw
first one's
one.
good. That's classic.
I heard the fifth one was good. Says The Rock.
Probably.
Yeah.
Speaking
Cool.
of rocks,
Speaking of rocks, where
I don't know. There's a Roshard transition in there somewhere.
I mean, they have fused have rocks in their chest.
There you go.
Yeah.
See?
Hey. That wasn't
Here
really a
is-
segue.
They can turn into rock monsters.
Yeah.
Yes.
They
Well,
don't have to be.
are Thunderclass fused?
I think they are.
or-
I thought that was
That's
pretty
what
clear.
David always thought. That's what he
I-
kind of tried to persuade me of.
I argue that they are.
Yeah,
Yeah. But we
Like-
don't have explicit confirmation from Brennan on that.
it's not explicit. No.
Do we have
But they're
anything-
looking at them. It's when they're in Shadesmar outside Thalen City, Kaladin and Shallan and Adolin and whoever else.
Yeah, you know.
And they're
Spren.
looking out and they describe what look like a bunch of spren, which turn out to be fused, right? And then
No.
they see one of them.
Because
they-
it's Spren that possess the people.
It is actually Spren, yeah.
Yeah.
Amaram's army bonds
army.
with humans. With Spren.
Yeah, but they look to the side. I don't know. I have to.
I mean, presumably
There are
they
other
have
things
Evgeni.
there. Yes.
And look,
That could be.
look, the life of the soldier.
Hey, baby, you want to bond with another? You want to make a Nile bond with me?
God damn it.
But yeah, no, they interacted with Spren, right?
Yeah.
Do we have anything else to say about the Fused? I mean, the Fused are pretty cut and dry because the Stormfather told us, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Infused
There
with Odious
was-
power, came back. Wow, cool.
There was a throwaway line by somebody in Shadesmar, I believe, talking about a large army from the enemy approaching from east of Marat, south of Marat.
In the cognitive realm?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Um,
No, you're right. You're right.
And I obviously don't remember the direction the army came from, but it could be
I think it was south.
just an indication of how the void forces are coming from Braze to Roshar with just like a march through Shadesmar.
I mean, that's kind of what they have to do.
Yeah.
You can have some teleportation nonsense.
Yeah. Well, let's not go on a massive tangent on the mechanics of how heralds and fused walk from Braze to Roshar and walk, air quotes. But I mean, the cognitive shadow mechanics of fused are pretty
I
straightforward.
think there's another point to make, which is
Oh, yeah?
I think it's interesting that we see the fused kind of like losing their sanity a little bit, which
Yes,
seems to be
that's
related
true.
to how old they are, or
Well,
maybe
it's how many times
they've
die.
yeah. And so that's maybe something that's interesting about cognitive shadows, that like the act of being attached to something in the physical realm,
Ooh, okay.
like repeatedly,
Okay.
seems to do damage to their
oh,
state.
interesting.
Do you
they're-
think it
Go
is the act of being attached to a physical body that's doing this, or because as you were speaking, this reminded me of the way DNA replicates
Oh,
and how every time you get a
Yeah.
replication, you get small errors,
right.
and across consecutive copies, it's usually not a big deal, but across thousands of copies potentially, you end up with something that is really, really damaged.
Possibly. It could be the fact that they're also forcibly taking over a body that already has something there.
And so there's like damage and resistance as that process is occurring.
Yeah.
It's also
Where-
possible, yeah.
But it could just be the function of multiple incarnations.
The thing that I was just thinking about is like, do we think the times the heralds died have any similar effect? Because certainly
I
the
don't-
age has gotten to them and the torture has gotten to them, for sure. But so we can't maybe nail down that it was all the dying, but it definitely
Nailed down.
Hemalurgy jokes. Hashtag hemalurgy jokes.
Or are they heraldic jokes?
Yeah. Other now.
Yeah. Do we think that they were damaged from the process of dying?
I've always thought so.
To the extent that the fused word does not seem so.
No. It's they're not being damaged the way the fused or damaged. It's like, yes, they were affected by the torture, but that's kind of normal reaction to being tortured.
Yeah, right.
That torture kind of screws people up in major ways.
Yeah.
And also, I think
Hmm.
part of their insanity is living with the fact for the last 4,500 years that they abandoned their sacred duty. But there might be...
Heralds are very messed up in many
Yeah.
different ways.
Yeah.
There's almost a logic to the way they're screwed up, more so than the way the heralds just go insane.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
In more recent times, I've moved away from my belief that it's the repeated death that's messed them up, and now I think the major contributing factor is their status of cognitive shadows combined with just the way the cognitive realm works on Roshar, combined with people's beliefs in them, shaping them in ways very similar to how they shape Spren.
Possibly.
So people on Roshar believe that Shalash exhibits these divine attributes and is this kind of a creature, and that belief, because she's a cognitive shadow, changes her.
I guess
I'm skeptical.
yeah.
It's if that were the case, I would expect her to be more in line with those divine attributes rather than, because she's really not. She's destroying art because she has an issue with being worshipped, I think, is the implication that's giving an Oathbringer.
That could be because she is purposefully lashing out against that belief being essentially forced upon her.
I just think it's different if you have a body, you know?
Yeah.
But they don't have a body for the most part.
Well, Shalash absolutely has a body at the moment.
At the moment, she does, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for the last 4,500 years, she has.
Yeah.
So, that's what I would
Okay,
say.
yeah. I see
Right.
where you're going.
And like before that, like she was still like bound to the Oath Pact, and that was probably allaying any like bad stuff that was happening to her spiritually.
Yeah. I just can't shake the feeling that they're going insane along their divine attributes.
I mean, there's
absolutely.
definitely something to say for that, for sure. Back 5, more Herald stuff.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. But my question with the Heralds versus the Fused was just trying to get at, is that a mechanic of cognitive shadows, or is that a mechanic of Fused? And also, the Fused kind of have the particular thing in that they're suffused with a very particular brand of investiture. Odious investiture that, like, you know, doesn't seem to be serving them particularly well over the long term.
Yeah, it's like I could definitely see Odium just screwing them over. Like, yeah, I'll make you cognitive shadows, but not gonna be perfect.
I don't know if that has as much of an impact.
Well, it's less the function that like it's odious investiture and more that like Odium, it's Odium's investiture, which doesn't make sense.
I mean, is it Odium willingly like making them be this way, or is it that's just how his investiture is making that happen?
Yeah, that's a good distinction.
Or maybe the way Honor... Let's maybe rephrase this a little bit. Maybe the way Honor crafted the Heralds of being cognitive shadows prevents the repeated killing making them go insane. Because Honor's like, okay, these 10 people, I will specifically craft this in such a way that other crap will not happen. But Odium's like, I don't really care about that. I'll just make a bunch of things cognitive shadows, and I'm not going to take precautions of them constructing new bodies. This is fine. You know?
Yeah.
There's also far more fused than Herald.
Yeah.
So Honor could take the time and care to
Yep.
raft their cognitive shadowness.
Yeah,
for
but time
them.
doesn't exist in the spiritual realm, so whatever.
I don't think time doesn't exist in that way.
Everything's connected in this. Everything's one in the
It's less
spiritual
that
realm.
time doesn't exist and more that all times are one.
Kaladin's good with the spear because he's gonna be good with the spear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about Returned some. I don't know how much there is to talk about the Returned, but
Let's find out.
Yes, they are basically glued back to their bodies with the divine breath at the discretion of endowment.
really very similar to an idea of a fused, except not with the whole perpetual reincarnation thing. It's just it's just one thing. A shard's implanting a bunch of investiture. They don't need to take over a body because the same body's used, right?
Yeah.
And the other mechanical difference is because it's endowment's investiture, you can give up the divine breath, right?
Yes.
Where I would assume that is not a mechanic fuse could ever do.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Odium would be okay with that.
I mean, maybe they can just give up their investiture and die. They wouldn't want to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's likely possible, but they would
theoretically. The
In
variety
fact-
of theoretically possible, right?
Yeah, no. It may be more than just theoretically because when one of the fused, the one that was more notorious for chatting with Venli,
Tarash.
throughout their intro. Sure.
No, not Tarash. Sorry, that's not Tarash. Go on.
Okay. He at one point they have a conversation about, well, where is all of this going? And he says, we're gonna kill all the humans, we're gonna give you back the world, and then we can rest and pass into the beyond.
That also might be... Presumably, the fused made a deal with Odium to become cognitive shadows, and it's like, okay, that just might be, okay, our deal's over, Odium takes back his power.
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a choice thing that they can make, but I mean, I think it's important that we realize that the method in which a cognitive shadow is created will affect those things. Like the way endowment is making a cognitive shadow is different from the way Odium is making the fused into cognitive shadows. And so the deal that Odium gave to those fused probably has that involved, whereas endowment, the way endowment would want things to be is for them to give up power so that she can sort of influence things a bit, I guess.
So as I was making this talk, something that leapt out to me was the fused are the only variety of cognitive shadow that require continuous infusion of investiture to maintain their bodies.
You mean the returned, not the fused?
The returned.
You said
What did I
fused.
say? Did I say the fused?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did not mean the fused. I meant the returned.
Was confused.
I'm like, they have a lot of void light, but yeah. No, I'm with you. That is interesting.
And
That is probably a function of, I mean, again, the way they are created.
Mhm.
Unlike the heralds or the fused or Kelsier, all of which are like their souls are filled with whatever investiture preserves them. The returned are, well, stapled back to their body.
well, arguably, so is Kelsier.
Welcome to Pedanticast. What is a staple?
Well, okay.
Okay.
I always got the sense that the
he's-
divine breath was enough to really, I don't know, do the same thing. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a lesser amount of
but
investiture.
the divine breath doesn't permeate their soul in the same way that heralds are fused, for example, or Kelsier during his secret history adventures does. The divine
I
breath
would
there is to
say-
hold it.
It does, but it, like normal breath, it's easily detachable, more so than the others.
I think you two are getting onto the same concept but you're talking about it slightly differently. You're both correct that there's some, yeah, because the divine breath you can give it up, whereas like you can't really do that. But on the other hand, if you give up the divine breath, you're dead, right?
Yeah.
But like to be a cognitive shadow, it's like that investiture has to be part of their soul.
Yeah, right. Which is why you give it up and you die. You can't awaken something with the divine breath because you will be dead.
Well, you could, but then you just be dead.
Well, okay, fine. But I was just thinking, Returned kind of have this interesting thing where they can kind of shape how their body is, you know? I don't know if heralds can have that property.
Well,
but the fused kind of do, at least.
Yeah.
So the returned seem they don't seem the returned are able to do a lot of that at will.
Yeah.
And this extends to the royal line.
Yeah.
Where people
The
like
royal locks.
Yeah.
Vivenna can
right.
alter her appearance. And I think we also have a word of Brandon that there's more they can do with that with that ability beyond just changing the color and length of their hair.
Yeah.
Well, we see that with Vivenna and Oathbringer. Like, she manifests scars on her face. That those
Does she
fade.
manifest them?
I think
Do they
so.
fade?
I'm pretty sure they faded.
Her hair fades
Okay.
in Shadesmar because she's scared. I mean, presumably because she's scared, because it goes to white. I don't think the scars ever go away. I think they're real scars.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I
that.
think I have to reread that
Yep.
then.
Yep.
I do have one more thing on the weirdness of them requiring investiture to
No,
continue.
I want. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. The functional
and it-
differences. Yeah.
Brennan has talked before on how the difference between breath and stormlight, where it's like breath is endowment. It's like you put it somewhere and it stays there, whereas stormlight is like supposed to release.
Yeah. Right.
But the cognitive shadows associated with breath, they require more, whereas the thing more associated with stormlight, they're just good. They don't need more. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No.
It does.
That's an interesting point.
And I almost wonder, it's because the returned are crafted for a purpose. Like, endowment is trying to do something with their life, that the requirement of getting more breath is almost a motivation for them. Like, okay, like, do the thing you're supposed to do.
Not
'Cause,
just
like, you're not getting a free ride to like stay around forever.
Whereas preservation wants Kelsier to be preserved because it's preservation. Odium want the fused to persist because that's what he
They're
wants them
highly
to.
motivated shock troops.
Yes. And Honor's just recreating the heralds to prevent the fuse from doing that. And so then there's that cycle. But yeah, you're right. That is probably the most reasonable explanation for the returned requiring breath, is that endowment made that be the case. I was trying to...
It is very endowment-y to require them to be endowed with breaths. You know, it's like this whole like system that she wants them to have to do just because that's her nature. Does that make sense?
Because
Well,
I
They
was...
rely on the
and-
endowment of others to continue to exist.
All of this sounds to me, I mean, I see where all of you are coming from, but all of this sounds to me like the literal opposite of what endowment is supposed to be.
Yeah, endowment gives
Because
things,
I
not
feel
takes
like
things.
endowment would just give away a chunk of investiture, give away a divine breath, no strings attached.
Well,
Which, like, it doesn't seem to be the case, based on, because
Well, I
like,
mean-
so it's okay. So the question of like, okay, they require investiture, is that a bug or a feature in code
yeah,
terms?
right,
Like,
right,
did
right.
endowment intend that, or is that just an unfortunate side effect, like unforeseen side effect of what she's doing?
I would say it is. I wouldn't use bug or feature. I would say it's an artifact of how the returned are created. So if the process of their creation was similar to the process of Kelsier's preservation, where endowment just fills up their soul with investiture, then I don't think they would require any breath.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that would also require more investiture from endowment. I think what she's doing at the moment is the equivalent of just duct taping the soul back to the body. And because, I guess similar to Zeth, the soul is not 100% attached to the body. Like, they're not... It's not the same as the Fused, who take over a Singer body. It's not the same as the Heralds, who create their own body or have a body created for them. It's the soul is just kind of sitting inside the body, but because it's not fully attached and spiritual realm mumbo jumbo, it tries to naturally just leave again. And so they keep needing a little extra oomph every week.
So
to keep the bonds there.
So why doesn't endowment do it differently to get rid of that?
Because I think it would be more expensive for her. It would require more power.
So, the more...
I mean, Odium has a
Okay.
whole army of cognitive shadows that don't need to be recharged every day, every week.
But
Yeah. Odium's also not doing a whole lot on his own.
A lot of this is like semantics, because like at that point I would say it's absolutely a choice on endowment's part to have
Yeah.
it that way.
Yeah. The more I think about it, it has to be the method of creation of the returned, and I feel like just the way those bodies work post the divine breath surely is a part of the reason why you need breath every week to sustain it.
So
Because you can't.
another
Yeah.
thought I had on this is that it's designed as a gold sink on endowment's part, just to get some of those breaths out of circulation and return to herself.
Endowment. You know what? Endowment has her. She doesn't have her customs agency, but that's our Shardcast meme that it's Endowment's custom there. And you know what? She puts her little gold sinks around because she really knows MMO economies really well, and so she's just being really good with that.
Look,
And
you gotta
breath
pay-
trading post, on the auction house, right? Man, there's so many questions about Nalthus, Brandon. Give us Nightblood. We need some questions answered. Gah.
Also give us that essay.
Yeah,
Yeah, for real.
that would answer a few for sure. So you found another wob, Evgeni?
This is coming from a Goodreads Q&A
Ooh.
back in 2010.
I think this is the one where we learned Endowment's name, isn't it?
I
Oh no,
No,
that was the
no.
Barnes and Noble book club. Sorry.
And if this is the Q&A I'm thinking of, well, it doesn't matter. But a person called Skylar asks, if a returned gives away his or her breath, they die, right? So why doesn't Vasher die after he gives it to Denth? And Brandon says, they will die the moment they run out of breath to harvest. Once a week, their body needs a breath in order to survive. The body needs a breath.
The body, yeah.
Each returned has one single super-powered breath. Imagine it as one breath that propels them through the heightenings, but it's only a single breath. It's what we speak of in Shard World terminology as
Huh.
a splinter. And when the seventh day comes, if a returned does not have another breath for his body to consume to keep him alive, his body will actually eat his divine breath and kill him. So they don't die immediately after they get rid of their breath. they're sort of put in a state of limbo where if they don't find more breath by the time that their feast day comes, they will die.
So
Also, Vasher did not give his divine breath to.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There was a flaw in the question. It's like, yes, Vasher gave Dent his breath, but he retained his divine breath.
But I think the answer still holds.
It's the body.
So if I'm reading this correctly, then a returned can actually give up their divine breath, like transfer their divine breath. It wouldn't like one, you can activate or actualize the divine breath. There's interkinetic investiture, you die. But he's saying so they don't immediately die after they get rid of the breath. They're put in
think
limbo.
He's talking about normal breath there, not the divine breath. Because it's like if they get rid of their divine breath, like they die.
They have to die.
Yeah. This is probably saying if they have one extra breath, they give it up. They have until the feast day. And on the feast day, their body consumes the divine breath.
And on that feast day, as Lightsong approached that, his body was tired, right?
Yep.
Like he was a lot more lethargic, and he very much was looking forward to that. So I was right. It was 100. It's 100% the body. It's the body. So the Fuse don't have this problem because they're just subsuming something that is already alive. The Heralds don't have this problem because a new living body is created for them, whereas a returned, the body is dead, and your other aspects are losing connection with that body. And Endowment's like, no, I'm not going to have that happen, and just slamming it back into the dead body. And you need that investiture because the body is in fact dead. And the reason why you can change how that body is looking is because that body isn't actually alive.
So
the returned are the real sparkly vampires of the Cosmere.
Yes. Which actually Brandon did say that it's like, it's kind of a reaction against Elantris. Like, it's kind of another sort of.
Yeah, except Elantris was zombies.
Yeah, no, but like a different take on that idea, right?
That's cool.
So I think that's what it is. Cool. I'm satisfied.
I can live with that explanation. That it's the fact that the body is dead that's causing these weird things.
Yep.
Okay, so
do returned have heartbeats?
Well, so certain activities they perform on a regular basis require moving blood for the guys.
I mean,
okay.
You can just reshape your body to be whatever you want.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, do you really, though?
I don't think they do that.
Welcome to Shardcast After Dark, where
I
there's ghosts.
I don't think they are attached to lifeless bodies. I think they're still sort of more alive than that.
Well, they are.
If that's what we're getting at.
Well,
and also they bleed and things like that.
Yeah, but like it's fueled off of that investiture, right? Rather than like lifeless, where
lifeless are the investiture just animates the body, but they don't have. Well, I guess their heart does beat because they have the Ichor alcohol.
Right. Yeah. Right.
That needs to be pumped throughout their body, but it's the investiture that makes the heart pump.
Yeah, and this does distinguish the return from Seth, who Argent mentioned earlier, where like he is alive again. Like just his soul doesn't stick as well, but like no, he's alive.
He was on the cusp. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Whereas I think later with the returned, it's later.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of shifting away from the returned a little bit, but so my question is, if that's how the returned work with bodies, what about Kelsier? Is he
Yeah, I keep thinking about him.
spiked to a live body?
I
Or
think,
does he require investiture as well to stay?
Well, yeah, and that's going to be tough to get on Scadrial. I think that's a very important question on Kelsier's new body. But before we go off on Kelsier, there is a reference to Vasher saying within a heartbeat, Vasher snapped the rope forward. So that doesn't mean that they have heartbeats, but I literally just searched the word heartbeat. So,
But I could see it like they have heartbeats because they think they should have heartbeats.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
they should.
Absolutely plausible in the Cosmere.
Well, yeah, because the spiritual stuff, making the body align with the spiritual, and yeah, right.
I mean, even without spiritual mumbo jumbo, like Kelsier in the cognitive realm felt like he needed to breathe.
Oh, that's true. You're right. You're totally right. So, with Kelsier, sorry for that interruption, Josh. I mean, I want to just say no because I feel like on Scadrial, it's going to be very hard to get investiture of that type.
But would it be? Could he just run around with his mouth open in the mist and just like breathe in some mist?
Well, I don't think you can do
Um,
that. I don't think you can do that.
Okay.
I think
That
it
was
is.
mostly a joke.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No. I think it's 100% possible that he can just burn the metal, and instead of get
Yeah.
the effect of that metal, have that investiture sustain him.
Yeah. I could also see that.
I was going to go off on a tangent of, is he still an Allomancer? But hemalurgy, so whatever. Right. So, I mean,
And
obviously,
he also like
created the
blue
bands.
line.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. You're right.
And there's actually a WAB where somebody asks about an Allomancer or a Mistborn wielding Nightblood while burning metals.
Mm-hmm.
And Brandon says the Nightblood will feed on the metal as long as there is, or on the investiture provided by the metal as long as there is
Right.
investiture provided by the metal.
Right.
And then it's going to. So there are obviously ways to redirect the flow of investiture you get from Allomancy.
It does seem weird for Kelsier to use an actual living thing. That's really creepy, Kelsier.
I mean, it's Kelsier.
I
Are you
wouldn't
at
put it
all
beyond him.
surprised?
Yeah.
So one of the things that always bother me about Kelsier, I guess, are we officially in the Kelsier part of the
We're
episode?
officially in the Kelsier part
Okay.
of this podcast.
Are the scars. That throws me off every time.
Well,
Because option A, he went somewhere, and mind you, the pits are effectively destroyed. Although I think they might still be like the geodes in there.
The crystals.
So he
would be there.
he either got a body and was like, you know what I need? I need me some scars. And went and scarred himself, which I would not put past Kelsier, but I don't think it's very likely. Or he did the same thing that the Return do, where the act of him coming back and stapling himself also redefines the body in kind of his own image,
aligns to his spiritual ideal or how he sees himself.
or how
Spiritual
others
jump.
see himself. Yeah, because the Returned go to a state that the society perceives as perfect.
Well, I think it's their own perceptions. It's just like they match what society thinks.
Yeah. It's
They are a
0%,
part of society.
but it's a reflection of, yeah. And so I think it's the second,
Yeah.
which
yeah,
would
absolutely.
suggest that Kelsier is much closer to being a Returned than being a Herald Refused, which would
Yes.
suggest a dead body.
Question.
Yes.
When the fused take over the body, their facial features like don't change. It's still the body.
They don't change.
It's just their skin
The
patterns
colors.
that change.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. The patterns change. Do the
Yes.
patterns change
Okay.
immediately? I don't remember. But
Yes,
okay.
pretty much. Like when Venli's squad got
Okay.
changed, it was noticeable immediately after
Okay.
the Everstorm.
Okay. Right. But the rest of their shape doesn't. It's just a skin pattern. You know what this whole conversation about Kelsier's body made me think about? They kept Kelsier's bones. I don't know how that would ever possibly work. It's like staple something in, fair chemical, massive healing. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I do know that Brandon has specifically said that they kept Kelsier's bones because reasons. And I can only assume that that would be an advantage in Kelsier's case in some way, right?
I think it would. Having
some
his
way, maybe.
original body.
Yeah.
So you think that what may have happened with him is that he essentially grew his own body like on top of his bones?
Maybe? I don't know. I don't know. Like, it does... I mean, you know what? Yes, that is what I think. Because that at least I have a logical path in my brain for what actually happened rather than, I don't know. So, you know what? That's going to be my thought.
You know, I kind of don't hate that.
Like, I like it
Because-
better than a corpse and he's just stabbing a thing into it and like, ta-da, I'm back.
Yeah. And one of the things that's always been a little weird to me has been the spike, the spike in the eye,
Yes.
because we kind of know what the eye spikes do.
Yeah.
They're physical metals.
Yes.
Or if I don't remember correctly, they're certainly not spiritual.
That's correct. You're completely correct.
And so it's always been a little weird to me that like the assumption that this is kind of the key spike that holds Kelsier together, when in fact what makes a lot more sense is that he got his body through however means, and then he used one spike to grant himself permanent steel vision, steel sight.
I
He has to grant himself more abilities than that.
yeah.
Well,
It's
this, like he goes, I don't want to deal with. I want to have both visions at all times.
Well, okay.
yeah. I think that's a stupid, like, not your idea isn't stupid. Kelsier's idea would be stupid in that situation.
Oh, yeah,
It's like-
right.
Because it's like, if you have eyes, you can still, like, have steel vision. So if you practice,
Yeah.
which, if anyone could do it, Kelsier could do it.
I mean, Kelsier made the excisors, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Presumably,
eh.
maybe found them,
Okay.
but
Now, I'm digging into... I gotta reread bands. Like, holy crap.
Mhm.
And he created the bands, so he clearly needed to have more abilities than he had previously.
Yeah.
But-
It's like, I don't think the eye spike is the only spike.
I'm not saying
has-
that it is. No, I'm not saying that.
Well,
So I
that's
think
true.
it's a part of a larger constellation of spikes that
Well-
anger him.
Well, and also, I don't think we should take the hemalurgy table so seriously as to suggest, because I thought the eye spike would have multiple metals in it.
Yeah,
I thought
but
Kelsier's did. I guess we wouldn't know that. I just
I don't
assumed
think we
that.
know. No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think we know its composition at all.
Well,
And
yeah.
the hemalurgy table was specifically geared towards Steel Inquisitors.
Right, and maybe there's a way to like have multiple metals in the same spike, and you can just stab like a big spike or something. Like,
It's like, I don't know about that.
I don't know. I don't know why that
Like,
impression is in my brain. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it is.
like- Because effectively assuming he used hemalurgy to anchor himself to a body, like, he is a new kind of hemalurgic construct.
Yeah,
it's like-
yeah, I guess that's true.
It's more than just like, oh, he's spiked with these powers. It's like,
right.
this specific combination and these specific bind points makes this thing, which is cognitive shadow bound to human.
I
I-
totally agree.
don't totally agree.
But I do just want to say we should not take the hemalurgy chart to say that that is the only thing you can put in an eye socket, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
True.
that's important to remember. Like, that was a very specific thing. There's hundreds of bind points. Bind points aren't unique. You can put powers in slightly different locations and they will still grant the same powers. And maybe we could put other things in there that they wouldn't be able to test stapling cognitive shadows to bodies. So there's hemalurgy can do whatever Brandon wants it to do, really.
I don't know if I agree with the statement that Kelsier is a hemalurgic construct in the same way that Inquisitors or Kalos or Kandra are. The way I would have phrased that, which I think is functionally different, is that Kelsier is something that is present in the wider Cosmere, a cognitive shadow with a physical body. And the way he has become that is through a hemalurgic hack. Whereas in other places, that same effect would be achieved in different ways. I don't think we are looking at I don't think there's a constellation of hemalurgic spikes that makes this possible.
Well, I think functionally all hemalurgic constructs are effectively a hack of hemalurgy. Almost.
Not a hack.
I think this is a slightly interesting discussion that we do not need to pedantic cast. That's what I think. Like, we don't need to discuss what is a construct here. Yeah, so what is a construct? We don't need that. But what we do need is philosophy. And Ian, how about you read the question you asked Brandon?
Okay. So this was back in 2015 in the never-ending AMA.
Oh, that
lasted like 6 months and got us like
that.
600 wobs.
Yeah, that was a big one.
So
Good times.
to what extent are cognitive shadows the same as the individuals they are shadows of? Do you count them as the same person, or are they just a copy, so to speak? Or is this a discussion for philosophers, which you've said is the case with the Cosmere's far afterlife?
Beyond.
Brandon. Yes, yeah, we didn't know that.
Yeah, that's true.
But
We did not. It's 2015.
Brandon, I've considered answering this a few times and have decided I just have to raffle it. This is a discussion for philosophers, as you've said. It may become a plot point in future books.
And then there was another time he said this, and where Brandon's like, "Yeah, that's a matter of debate. Are they?
Yeah.
Are they copies? Are they copies of the cognitive or spiritual?"
Based on secret history, I am more inclined to say they are the person.
Yes. Well, in Kelsier's situation,
Yes.
Yes.
Most of them feel that way to me.
Going
The shades maybe don't.
Yeah.
because if they were copies, then that would mean a part of them is going into the beyond, which I don't think is true, right?
Correct.
Like, copy is like some prestige level stuff where, like, I'm the copy, but the original's still there, and the original's died. Like, that's not really the case, right?
going through Kelsier's journey in the afterlife, in the cognitive realm, there doesn't seem a good opportunity for a copy to be created, right? Because physical body dies, his own mind, his own cognitive aspect appears in the cognitive realm. That's still him.
Mhm.
He does a little chat with preservation. He feels the tug to the beyond. He starts running around. All of this leads to him going to the well of ascension.
Mhm.
I kept trying to say well of eternity. I'm like, no, that's
No,
wrong.
no, you've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft.
Shut up. Well of ascension.
You work hard.
He
all
goes
the time.
there, and preservation goes fine. Be preserved. So up until that point, it is still 100% Kelsier.
Mhm.
He goes in there, and now we have two options, really. We either have still Kelsier, but like infused with preservation's power, which I think is the case, or he goes in the well and then he gets infused like completely, and then he himself goes into the beyond, but the investiture that like suffused his mind and soul so thoroughly that it was basically identical remained.
Yeah.
Which I think is possible, but it doesn't feel likely to me.
Wouldn't like a shard mention if there was a mechanic like that? Like Odium's just like, hey Tarash, if you don't like what I'm doing, I'm just gonna revoke you the stuff that gives you eternal life and screw you, buddy. That's a quote from Oathbringer, verbatim.
It is actually.
Yeah.
I remember it.
Thinking about this, I almost wonder if the copy in the debate is less a photocopy and more Jason and the Argonauts. That's the story where like every piece of the Argo is replaced. Is it the same ship?
Oh, that thing.
Yeah. Whereas
ship.
like, is a fossil an actual dinosaur bone? It's like no part of the bone is still there. It's just the shape.
Right. Is Tarash the fused the same fused as before? Like is it the same?
Yeah.
Like not
like,
really the same, but
consciousness is and shape is preserved, but is it the same?
But Kelsier never goes away.
No, it wouldn't.
He's saying like whatever your soul is made, whatever I guess your soul is made of investiture, right? But whatever your soul is like made of, it just got replaced with an investiture version.
But when?
When he became a cognitive shadow. It's like his consciousness was preserved. Like it's the same consciousness, but the stuff that makes up what he is different.
Yeah, Ian, I totally agree. I think that's what the philosophical debate was. And as we were talking about that, like, but in some sense, this philosophy question is not terribly interesting to me because I am not the same person as I was 5 years ago. Like, I don't really find that to be particularly interesting.
Yeah, and Brennan has said like this like discussion of like Jason and the Argonauts is one of the fundamental questions
Wasn't
of
this
the
the ship of Theseus, not Jason and the Argonauts?
Yeah, that sounds more familiar.
Yep.
Okay, maybe it might be the ship of Theseus.
Because I remember
Jason
this because you've
mentioned
this on this show.
What is that?
Probably.
I
think it is the ship of Theseus now that I'm thinking about it more.
Yeah, it totally is. It totally is.
No, it is.
Greek mythology has a lot of ships, okay?
It's a lot of shipping.
You get things like that in the Mediterranean, yes.
And thank you, Alcatraz Books, for telling us about the ship of Theseus and the name.
Oh, and also random wobs where Brandon talks about.
Well, yeah, but that was the first time I had heard of it from the Alcatraz books. So I was like, oh, that's nice.
What do you mean you didn't go to your elementary school library when you were second grade to check out the 300-page Greek mythology?
I am a math person. Philosophical debates are very boring to me. I need something testable or else I do not care. It's like, wow, that's string theory. That could be cool. Can you test it? Nope. Great. It's philosophy, not an actual thing. Until it's tested, it's not real. Like, I just don't care. Like, that's a lot of great stuff that might model the universe, but you'll never know, or we won't know for a while. So, wow, neat.
How on earth did you get into Cosmere with that mindset?
Because it has rules. I don't know. Like, well, you can still. Our testing is asking Brandon. Like, yeah.
That is
Tell
true.
me a scientist.
And Raffo is just inconclusive.
For now.
results.
We'll get it later. But
Need more data.
The thing with the Cosmere is that there are answers, and the answers do exist, right? That's the thing that's good. Well, for most things. He's not going to probably talk about the beyond, right? Which is fine.
Yeah.
But whatever. That's not interesting to me anyway. Let's talk about one other word of Brandon. from Gen Con 2017. Landis 963 asks, imagine a hypothetical shard of tenacity. What happens when the vessel of that shard dies? Brandon, the magic will change drastically. Among other things, it would be very easy for practitioners of that magic to become cognitive shadows. And Ian, when you put this in our outline, I was like, what? I totally don't remember this one. This is crazy.
You don't remember anything.
No, I don't. No, I don't
Fair
remember
point.
what I did 3 days ago. I like literally don't at all.
Probably edit Shardcast.
No, not 3 days ago. But
Let's unpack this one.
Yeah.
Good job.
So the magic.
I'm thinking, okay?
Great analysis.
I'm thinking. Yeah, great, good talk, guys.
Let's unpack crickets.
We're thinking about unpacking. We're okay.
You got to plan your approach at picking the things out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the magic will drastically change. What is just because the vessel died?
Yeah. Which
Interesting.
Well, yeah.
I think we see that with Cell.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Do we?
Well, the magic. Well, it wasn't the act of the death. For sure. You're right.
Nope. The
It was-
Reold was different.
Well,
not the Rio. It's like before that. Like
Freya.
Rio has nothing to do with the death or the magic system changing.
It was the shoving of the shard's power into Shadesmar.
Yeah.
Sorry, cognitive realm, Ian. Sorry, don't sue me. Don't
But
spike
we
me.
don't know if that changed anything.
No, it totally did. It totally did. It made it so that it was much more localized. That was why it's localized.
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah.
It was definitely. It was 100% different before.
But
that.
that's more.
okay.
That's more of a function of the whole like their investiture is now in the cognitive
right,
realm.
and
in the real
it's
world.
not when the
it's
vessel
not
dies.
like just the vessel died.
Yeah.
So
because honor's dead and preservation's
right.
dead,
Right. Yeah, and that,
Yep.
it doesn't mean Allomancy's gone. Same thing.
and surge binding certainly kind of feels like pre-honor's death surge binding.
Yep.
Yeah, right. It doesn't seem like there's a functional distinction, right?
No. Which that cultivation is somewhat involved with surge binding, so
Yes,
that might
true.
be a moderating effect. And preservation wasn't unheld long enough for something bad to happen to Allomancy.
But Brandon's answer to the tenacity question doesn't talk about time,
Yeah, it's just the vessel died.
because the moment Lyris dropped, nothing happened.
I think it's more that a shard left unheld for too long, things would happen. But like if you get to it and it's like immediately take it up, then consistency is maintained.
Well, so I should mention that this is a paraphrase word of Brandon, and so we do not have the exact audio. and
That's
so
okay,
This,
yeah.
This can.
It can be
change.
anything.
Oh, geez.
But let's maybe talk about the other part of this rather than like the magic will change drastically and not pedantic cast it all up. But if the vessel dies, it would be easy for presumably after the vessel dies. It would then be easy for practitioners of the magic to become cognitive shadows.
So I think this is for two reasons. One, there's a lot more uncontrolled investiture floating around because it's not all being controlled by the vessel. And
Yep.
two,
Potentially, yeah.
deciding to stick around and become cognitive shadows is a very tenacious thing.
Yeah, right.
So it's like the investiture would be like, oh yeah, like this is totally a thing I want to do.
I really, really don't like applying intent to investiture.
But that they're literally. But the thing.
Like it's not a requirement
But
to
it
become a
does.
cognitive shadow, but like that thing doesn't absolutely have an
Evgeni,
effect.
literally, that's how investiture works. Nail specifically
It all has a
says
flavor.
Honor's power has finally fully suffused me. It's
Nail
been a
is an
long time
idiot.
coming. That's exactly
I
what
don't
it does.
think Nail has anything to do with this conversation.
No, I'm just
'cause
saying
Nail
that,
is
like,
a crazy person.
I'm
in
just
that
saying
situation.
Evgeni's thing, like, oh, you can't use intent. Like, literally, we're just talking about an intent of tenacity.
No. What I mean is
Okay.
saying that the investiture itself is tenacious.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure.
I agree that investiture itself is flavored.
Okay.
After the
fine,
shard, yes.
Fine. I retract my rant about that.
It's
Like, what the hell are you
less that-
talking about?
Less that the investiture is tenacious and more that it resonates well with people who are tenacious.
But what does that even mean? Like, we don't
Connection?
This is not how we see investiture work in the Cosmere. Free investiture.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I mean,
Stormlight doesn't just swirl around honorable people and gardeners.
but Spren are attracted to people who are honorable.
But Spren have minds.
They are still investiture. And like sub-Spren, they aren't sapient. Like they're just naturally attracted to things.
Yes.
So it's just a step below that.
But they are... Subspren are manifestations of the ideas of those things. Like, a glory spren is... The only reason a glory spren exists is because of people's understanding of what glory is. And it loops back and forth. People create the spren is attracted to the thing that created it.
Yes.
It's not a function of the free investiture itself. Also, spren are not free investiture.
I really wouldn't be surprised if investiture sort of influences the cognitive aspect of things with whatever the intent of the shard it's associated with is.
Yeah,
because the intents are inherent in the investiture, right? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
that's what makes the shard what it is
Yes.
the nature of the investiture.
Yes.
That is true.
And when Rashek is holding the power at the well, the power has enough effect that he never undoes any of the mistakes he's made. He just does new things that counteract old stuff.
Yes.
And that's directly because he's holding preservation's power.
What?
Yeah. No, that's what
So
happened.
he moves the planet
Yes.
too far, was it the first time?
No,
Yeah.
too close.
No, it was too far and then too close.
No, he moved it too close.
To burn it away.
He moved it close to burn it away, and then he's like, oh, crap. Now it's too hot. I need to make the ash mounts to do this rather than
Oh yeah,
just
that's
moving,
right. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
moving the
Instead
planet
of-
again.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, well, now I made ash mounts, so now I'm going to change how things work to make the ash
Okay, yeah.
livable, right? And so he never
Yeah.
undoes his mistake. Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened.
I really don't think that's a function of the investiture. If
Brandon
anything,
has explicitly said,
where
It's literally the Hero of Ages epigraph. Caesar
Yeah.
literally says it.
This reminds me of what we were talking about earlier with the fused and odium.
Yes. Well, yeah.
I don't know, just the... What were we talking about? Was it the nature of the way that they kind of lose their sanity? If that was related to the fact that it's odium that's caused them to be the way that they are.
okay,
yeah, but I didn't think that was a function of his intent and just more odium.
Consciously choosing to make them
a
that
conscious
way.
act of this is how I'm gonna
Yeah.
make them.
I don't know if we're really getting anywhere with this sort of.
No.
This is just weird.
It is, and
It
the fact
makes
that it's
perfect
paraphrased.
sense to me. So
Well, I would just like to say that. Well, I mean, this word of Brandon did happen before Oathbringer, but tenacity is basically odium anyway. So there.
Well,
Okay, time for Who's That
I
Cosmere
would
Character?
strongly disagree with that.
I think it's similar enough.
Are you admitting that odium could be passion.
I think I've never disagreed that is a component of what odium is. I've never disagreed with that being a component of what odium is, Ian.
Let's move on.
Sorry, I guess I should have
for-
just not brought it up.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Well, we hope that this was, except for this last part, was very useful for understanding how cognitive shadows worked. Because that last word of Brandon was weird. And really didn't tell us about too much about this. But we've wanted to talk about cognitive shadows for a long time. So hopefully that helps kind of piece together all the different types and how they're weird and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So guys, you know what time it is? It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character?
This character is from Roshar.
Menace.
Tien.
Tom.
Raise.
Hoid in drag on a horse.
It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character? Caw. All right, guys. So, I have a few things for you. And
Good.
the first one is from our friend Fire Rust.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh gosh.
clue number 1.
Already hate it.
This character is not male.
The sibling.
It is the sibling.
I mean,
No.
It is the sibling.
No. It's
Cheers.
just-
Yep. And clue 2 was this character is not human. Clue 3, this character is not female. Clue 4, this character is unfortunately from Roshar. That should have been our
The
first
hero.
one, really.
Unfortunately, the hero of ages.
Yes. And clue 5 was this character is a Spren.
Cool. Good talk.
Fortunately, I have 2 more for you guys. So great. All right. This one is from Yeo Moe. I'm sorry.
Sure.
That
Put it on the screen.
I don't put people's names on the screen for the first one. This character is alive.
The sibling.
It's not the sibling.
cultivation.
No.
Vasher.
No. Clue 2, also very helpful. This character lives on Roshar.
Sweet.
Seth.
No.
Dalinar.
No.
This character is alive.
I know. It really narrows it down, doesn't it?
What kind of clue is that?
Well, they're not dead.
What? Thank you.
I mean, there are still a lot of dead people on Roshar, so
That's true.
Is a cognitive shadow dead or alive?
That's what I was about to
Tarash.
ask.
Yeah, no, I kind of feel like for this to be a clue, it needs to be meaningful to the character. So like,
it's not.
oh, okay.
not Tien.
well, it's not Tien. We also know it's not Menace.
No.
This character is alive. This character is on Roshar. Axe is the collector.
No. All right. Clue 3, this character is not in fighting shape. All right, we're getting to some useful clues now.
Not in fighting shape.
Sabarial?
No. That's a good guess, though.
Yeah, that
It is a good guess. I'm trying to think of anyone like wounded.
Yeah, me too.
Menace.
I'm thinking of that
Harv
soldier,
Engine.
No. It's a good guess, too.
Adolin.
No.
He's all better.
He was well, okay, no, I guess Renardin healed him. Never mind.
Clue 4.
I was thinking that he got
This
severely
character
wounded.
wears a brown, wide-brimmed hat. Ian's face is amazing.
I don't know his name.
Give me a description, Josh.
Oh.
I will accept a good description of this character.
Felt.
No, it's not Felt.
Dang it.
Rip.
What kind of hat?
I think I know. I'll let them guess. I think I know
It
who
is
it is, though.
a brown, wide-brimmed hat.
Vistum?
No.
How many people wear hats?
Eerie. Who wears hat?
Gox?
No. Clue 5. This character is a scout.
Literally the only scout
Oh.
I can think of is Lynn.
It is not Lynn. Although I do think she wore hats at some point.
I don't think
I want to say this is one of. He's in Dalinar's flashback.
Is that your final answer?
Blue.
Blue.
Usually, he's dead.
I would like.
Oh, he's dead. Dang it, dead.
I would like
Don't.
to make a quick adjustment
Ah,
that
Since I have
this-
not made my guess, I am okay with this.
this character does wear a wide brimmed hat, but it is not specifically mentioned to be brown. Was that helpful or no?
Oh,
this
A
is
veil? Like, I don't know. That's the only person I can think of that wears
Nope.
hats.
Nope.
Did you like look up the description and the hat is not?
Yeah. It's wide brimmed.
I think
but
we
does
all
wear a
guessed.
leather overcoat. Does that help? I will give you a clue 6. And also it's not a character in Dalinar's flashbacks. This character oversaw Axehound kennels in Erytheru.
There's no way anyone can guess that.
Yeah, I have no idea.
This is
This is-
Bashan. This character is Bashan.
Okay.
Who was
I
a
super.
scoutmaster.
Oh, he was
He's
in
in Dalinar's
the
flashback.
flashbacks.
Was
yeah.
he?
So I thought
They were
it's
in
the fight.
inn.
The fight where Dalinar's in the bar and he's fire mossing it up and he
and he
kills
wants
the
to go
guy.
fight. No, he doesn't kill the guy. He goes
Well,
in
he-
there and
He
then
finds out that he
Oh
almost killed the
yeah,
guy.
okay, you're right. You're
yeah,
right.
the current champion just goes nope.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, it's the
You didn't
flashback where
describe
Adolin's
that,
born.
so- yeah, you didn't describe that. So
I should have.
Bump it.
You said Dalinar's flashback, so
Yeah, I should have described it. I couldn't think of his. There's no way I'd ever think of his name, and
yeah.
I didn't know that he was still
Um,
alive.
This next one is more specific. Okay.
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 That's not difficult.
But the first clue is a lovely. This character is from. Do I should I just give
Yes.
you the second clue again? The second clue as well.
Well, let's see if we can randomly guess somebody.
Okay. Good luck.
Navani.
No.
Venli.
No.
Shauka daughter Haswith.
Oh, all right. I like it. No. Clue 2, this character is dead.
Tien.
No. I mean,
Eshenai.
no.
Hobber.
No. Clue 3. This character is in a story. That does not mean that
Not-
it is in
not
the
the story,
text
but-
of Way of Kings. It's an in-world story.
Fleet.
No. Wait.
Dang it.
Oh.
Good, 'cause
Ian,
I
what
was
did
gonna
you
guess
say?
the same. Both of them.
No
said,
comment.
Okay, that's fine.
both of them said fleet, and I was thinking about guessing fleet. But I'm glad I didn't. Okay, clarification. Is this a fictional character in world? Is that what that clue means? And somebody's telling a story about that character?
I because this is a bit of a harder character, I will tell you it is not a fictional character.
So it's somebody that exists on Roshar or has existed on Roshar, but people were telling stories about that person.
That is a good interpretation.
Jezrien.
No. All right. Clue 4. This character was an artist.
Oh jeez.
Dandos the Oilsworn.
Yeah.
No.
There you go.
the one artist that's not Dandos, who once, I don't know their name, but I'll give you a description.
Yep.
They did an experiment where for a long time, they like locked themselves in a colored room, and I think it was red for a long time. And Shallan was telling how over time their art and their eyes adjusted to the presence of the constant
It
light.
is Eliseth. You are correct.
Specifically, she painted to the light of a single color of spheres.
Yes. Yes.
Sure.
But it was red. It was red. And clue 5 was this character painted for hours in red light. So I was like, yeah, that's the acceptable description. These were a bit more esoteric though, for sure.
Yes.
So that
A little
definitely-
bit, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I am more generous, but I'm also not Grace. So Grace gives nothing ever. She is
She's mellowed a little bit in recent times.
a little bit. She's like given slight things, but
Once or twice.
once or twice.
Yeah, no more than that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you guys for listening. Go to 17shard.com for all your news, discussion, theories, fun that you could ever hope for. Get a blanket over your head and become a ghost on 17shard.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe. And-
Discord, Bell.
Yeah. Oh, come to our Discord. Leave us a review on iTunes, and we will see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
See you all in the cognitive realm.
Cognitive.